Adam here once again for the third and final part of my special reveal of the comics haul that I received from my good buddy Galen. He had been collecting for years and he shared with me his collection, said, take what you want. I just wanted to go to a good home. Up to this point, we've really just been showing off a lot of Marvel. The first video had all the Wolverine, right? Then we had some Daredevil, we had some Iron Man, we had some Marvel Masterpieces cards. We had a lot of fun stuff. So coming up here, I thought we'd start with some DC. And if you're going to start with DC, why not go iconic? Yeah, yeah. Superman holding the dead Supergirl from Crisis on Infinite Earths. I mean, again, this is one of those covers that's had so many homages over the years. But to actually have the original, I have my collected edition of Crisis with the Alex Ross cover on that trade. But to have an individual issue, that's pretty special. So that's a neat thing to be added here. But keeping in the Superman vein, another thing that I realized is I haven't read a lot of John Byrne's Superman. Like the Man of Steel run was so seminal, and then he kept writing Superman stories after. Well, now, here we go. I'm starting to get the understanding of what it was all about. So here he is facing off against Metallo. I'm sure a lot of you already have. He's like, well, that's old business. I'm like, I know it's old business, but now I'm catching up. I'm getting in the business. All right, so there we go. I mean, these are just some great issues here. Wonderful John Byrne art. Okay, there we go. All right. And he had some Death of Superman issues and some Reign of the Superman, but I already have those, so I didn't pick those up. I did grab this, however. Yeah, the World of Krypton. So again, that's just kind of getting some history there. I have a feeling Zack Snyder for Man of Steel borrowed quite a bit from that. Another one I just had to pick up because it was like a favorite gimmick cover from back in the day, and then just also a favorite character. But this issue of Robin 3, if you don't recall, you pull this tab and then there's some motion that happens. Let me see if I can show that off to you here. I know this isn't Gimmick's grab bag, but let's see if it still works. All right, here we go. Come on, go. Not gonna go. Oh, okay. I just had to loosen it a bit. All right, let's see how that shows up. Yeah, it's just doesn't show up as well on camera, does it? All right, but anyway, it was a cool idea for a gimmick. Let's put it that way. Sorry about that. All right. Also, though, he actually had 2 issues of this 0-month sampler, which was just kind of hyping the 0-month event for 0 Hour. We've already covered it. The Wizard had a whole special issue devoted to 0 Hour, Beyond 0 Hour. And so this was just another piece from that era I wanted to add to the collection, just to kind of have a full idea of what was going on there. All right. There's a couple other Marvel things here before I get into the other side of DC and Image. Yes, the Saga of Cristar, the Crystal Warrior, which we just talked about on episode 48 of the podcast with Dan Larson and Chris Bailey at Charlton_Hero. This is just fun because another friend of mine, Sean Robert, actually gave me the first issue of Cristar and then a couple others. This is issue 2. I just thought it was cool to have a little bit more of the Cristar story. Also, we got some Dale Keown Pitt here, which is really cool because I don't think I've read much of his stuff when he was working with Peter David. This is a Mark Bagley issue of Spider-Man. What makes this important is that this was his first issue getting the ongoing gig on Amazing Spider-Man, which he would keep for a very long time, becoming that seminal Spider-Man artist. But before him there, yes, Eric Larson, the return of the Sinister Six. Had to grab that just because you always want to see some Eric Larson art, right? This is another one that was just funny to me. This Silver Surfer, he's job hunting. Like, I want to know what this was all about. So that just, when you give me a little bit of a gag on the cover, I'm always going to be interested. Here's staying in the Spider-Man vein, though, a collection of the early Carnage issues. So this is a pretty fun, like, old school trade, right? So we've covered a lot of this actually on the podcast, but I'm not gonna lie, sorry about that. They're kind of dusty. They have been in a collection for many years. But check this out. Yeah, the Spirits of Venom trade. So this is pretty cool. This is one of those iconic images that I remember seeing. Adam Kubert drew this, and it's really cool. but I never read these stories with Ghost Rider and everything else going on, so that's really neat. All right, but speaking of the darker side of things, guys, okay, this is really neat. Now, Galen's older brother also collected comics, and I have a feeling this was one of his. Yes, the first issue of Hellblazer. Okay, so if you're a big John Constantine fan, it does feel like this was a seminal issue because he was getting his own series. So that was really cool to find in there. But hey, what about the first issue of Sandman? Oh yes, let's pull this out here because this is special, right? Yeah. The first issue of Sandman with the Sam Keith art on the inside, I was just like, that's amazing. Obviously, we have the Netflix series coming up soon. We did a casting call that we discussed on a recent episode for what they were looking at. But yeah, so I couldn't believe that he actually had this in his collection, kept it in great condition. Now, again, all these dark and macabre heroes of this era, right? How about Spawn #1? Yeah, Spawn #1. Again, I'm sure many of you bought this, off the rack back in the day. I did not. I remember seeing Spawn in a hobby shop, and I grabbed a couple packs of trading cards instead because I was not following the Image guys at all. But now to have this, that's really cool, especially, Todd McFarlane's connection to Wizard Magazine, all we've done. So we have the second issue as well. Let's see what else we got here. For some reason, not the third, but the fourth issue with Violator on the cover. So that's cool. There's even a one that came packed in with one of the action figures here. So that's awesome. And if we're going to close out, of course, we're going to close out with some Rob Liefeld. We got Supreme #1. Okay. Ooh, shiny. Supreme #1. But maybe most important of all, Youngblood #1. Yeah, we're in the 30th anniversary year of Image Comics. This is the one that started it all, right? So we had this for the podcast. If you go back and listen, we actually covered this original pressing of Youngblood. And then later on, he did like a remastered version, if you will, where a lot of the dialogue was changed and a bunch of other stuff. And so we kind of compared them on the podcast. But this is one that we actually gave away when Rob Liefeld blocked us on Twitter. We gave away all of our Liefeld stuff. So Prophet #1, like all the stuff that we had just amassed over the years. We said, get Liefeld out of here. So this is back in the collection. Just, maybe Rob can know that we're extending the olive branch. But I don't know. If you keep listening, we can only give so much. Anyway, there it is, guys. A fantastic collection that was shared with me. I'm so glad that you guys were able to enjoy these videos. I've been enjoying the comments down there. If there's anything that you saw that you had back in the day, we'd love to hear more about that here. So until next time, keep your books bagged and boarded.